the red sun of Kepler 442b, was setting behind the mountains when they finished his shift in the crystal mines. His hands were covered in blue dust from the Zephyrian meditation stones, and his back ached from 12 hours of digging in the narrow tunnels.
Out!
Around him, 60 other humans were climbing out of the mine shafts, their faces tired, but their eyes alert. Kim Day was the mining commander. But that title meant little in the galaxy of 2387. Humans were considered a tertiary species by the Galactic Confederation. They were useful for dangerous work because they bred quickly and could survive in harsh conditions. But the three ruling alien races saw them as nothing more than clever animals. The Zephyrians controlled this sector. They were tall, pale beings, with large heads who could read minds and claimed to be spiritually superior to all other life forms. They used the crystals that humans mined for their meditation ceremonies. Never bothering to thank the workers who risked their lives to dig them up, Park Soo-jin walked over to Kim Day. Brushing crystal dust from her mining suit, she was officially listed as a simple laborer, but Kim Day knew better. Before the aliens had taken over Earth 200 years ago, she had been a military engineer. Now she pretended to be just another worker while secretly maintaining equipment that was far more advanced than their alien overseers suspected. Another record day, she said quietly, glancing around to make sure no Zephyrian monitors were listening. They should be happy with the output. Kim Day nodded. The aliens were always happy when humans worked hard. They never questioned why human mining operations were so efficient, or why human equipment rarely broke down. They simply assumed that humans were naturally good at following orders. Lee Hyun-woo approached them, carrying a data pad that showed the day's production numbers. To any alien observer, he looked like a simple maintenance worker in dirty coveralls. But Kim Day knew that Lee had once been one of Earth's top quantum physicists before the aliens reclassified all human scientists as technical support staff. The Zephyrians are pleased, Lee said carefully. They want us to increase production by 20% next month. Of course they do, muttered Park Soo-jin under her breath. The galaxy was ruled by three ancient alien races who had controlled space for thousands of years. The Zephyrians claimed spiritual authority and used their mind-reading abilities to keep other species in line. The hegemony were master builders and engineers who saw all other life forms as inferior creatures to be studied and controlled. The Krillian Empire was a military powerhouse that conquered worlds and enslaved entire populations. Humans had been part of this system for 2 centuries now. When the aliens first arrived at Earth, humanity had fought back briefly, but their weapons were no match for advanced alien technology. The war lasted only 6 months before Earth surrendered. The aliens were surprisingly merciful. They did not destroy human civilization, but they did restructure it completely. All humans were reclassified as workers. Former scientists became maintenance technicians. Former soldiers became security guards. Former doctors became medical assistants. The aliens kept human knowledge and creativity, but they made sure that humans could never again pose a threat to galactic order. Or so they thought. Kim Day looked around at his mining crew as they prepared to return to their living quarters. Yang So-young was checking the medical supplies, making sure everyone was healthy enough to work tomorrow. She had once been a surgeon, but now she was allowed only to treat minor injuries and illnesses. Choi Min-ho was updating the communication logs, recording the day's activities for their Zephyrian supervisors. He had been a military intelligence officer before becoming a communications technician. Every human in the galaxy had a similar story. They had been doctors, engineers, soldiers, and scientists before the aliens arrived. Now they were miners, janitors, factory workers, and servants. The aliens believed that humans had accepted their new role in galactic society. They were wrong. As the crew walked back to their quarters, Kim Day noticed small signs that the aliens never saw. A hand signal from Park Soo-jin to Lee Hyun-woo. Subtle nod from Yang So-young to Choi Min-ho. Messages being passed between workers who appeared to be having casual conversations. For 200 years, humans had been watching and learning. They had maintained alien equipment and learned how it worked. They had served alien scientists and memorized their research. They had cleaned alien facilities and mapped every corridor and security system. The aliens saw obedient servants. Kim Dae knew the truth. Humanity had been conducting the most patient intelligence operation in galactic history. That night, as he did every night, Kim Dae received a coded message on his personal communicator. Similar messages were being sent to human commanders on hundreds of worlds across the galaxy. The network was vast, invisible, and growing stronger every day. The message was always the same. Stay ready. Stay patient. The time will come. Kim Dae deleted the message and went to sleep, dreaming of the day when the galaxy would learn what humans were truly capable of. When they stopped pretending to be weak, the sleeping giant was beginning to stir. The alarm in Kim Dae's quarters woke him at dawn. But this was not the usual work alarm. This was the emergency communication signal that he had hoped never to hear. He quickly activated his hidden communicator and saw the face of Admiral Zethclair, the most feared Krillian military commander in the galaxy. The reptilian alien's forearms were spread wide as he spoke to every human settlement across dozens of worlds. His yellow eyes gleamed with cold authority as he delivered his message. By order of the Krillian Military Council, all human populations in Sectors 7 through 12 must move to special resettlement areas within 30 days. This is necessary for regional peace and better use of resources. Any humans who refuse to move will face military action. Kim Dae stared at the screen in shock. Sectors 7 through 12 contained over 3 million humans living on 47 different worlds. The mining operation on Kepler 442b was right in the middle of Sector 9. He quickly dressed and ran to the main communications room where his senior staff was already gathering. Park Soo-jin was studying star charts on her tablet, her face pale with worry. Lee Hyun-woo was checking news feeds from across the galaxy. Young So-young was reading medical reports about something called resettlement facilities. Choi Min-ho was monitoring alien military communications. What do we know? Kim Dae asked as he entered the room. Nothing good, Park Soo-jin replied grimly. The Krillians are mobilizing their entire third fleet. That's over 200 warships. Lee Hyun-woo looked up from his datapad. The Galactic Confederation just released an official statement. They're calling this an unfortunate but necessary action to maintain galactic stability. They're not going to help us. The Zephyrians? Kim Dae asked, though he already knew the answer. Silent Yang So-young said bitterly. The great spiritual leaders of the galaxy are too busy meditating to care about 3 million humans being forced from their homes. Choi Min-ho had been listening to encrypted alien communications. The hegemony is already making plans to claim our abandoned facilities and equipment. They're treating this like a business opportunity. Kim Dae felt anger building in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. What exactly are these resettlement facilities? Young So-young's voice was quiet when she answered. I've been researching the last time the Krillians used this term. 15 years ago, they moved the entire Deltarian population to resettlement facilities. According to official records, the Deltarians are living peacefully in their new homes. But, Kim Dae prompted. But no one has heard from any of them since the day they were moved. No communications, no trade, no contact of any kind. It's like they simply disappeared. The room fell silent as the terrible truth sank in. The Krillians were not planning to relocate humans. They were planning to eliminate them. We have 30 days, Kim Dae said finally. What are our options? We could try to run, load everyone onto transport ships and head for the Outer Rim territories. The Krillians would hunt us down, Lee Hyun-woo pointed out. Their ships are faster than ours, and they have the entire galaxy to search. We could surrender and hope for the best, Young So-young suggested, without conviction. Like the Deltarians did. Choi Min-ho asked sarcastically. Kim Dae looked at each of his friends and colleagues. These people had worked with him for years, building a successful mining operation on a hostile world. They had families, hopes, and dreams. They deserved better than to be swept away by alien politics. There is a third option, he said slowly. The others looked at him expectantly. We could stop pretending. Park Soo-jin understood immediately. You mean activate the network? For 200 years, humans had played the role of obedient workers. They had built successful businesses, raised families, and contributed to galactic society. But they had also been preparing for the day when their alien masters would decide that humanity was no longer useful. Kim Day nodded. Send the activation codes to all sector commanders. It's time to show the galaxy what we've really been doing. For the past 2 centuries, Choi Minho's fingers flew over his communication console, sending coded messages to human settlements across the galaxy. Within minutes, responses began coming back. Not words, but actions. On the display screens. They watched as human facilities across dozens of worlds suddenly began changing. Mining operations revealed hidden defensive systems. Trade posts activated advanced communication arrays. Transport. Ships showed weapon systems that had never appeared on any official registration. The transformation was happening everywhere at once. Humans who had been dismissed as simple workers were revealing training and equipment that made alien military commanders nervous. Scientists who had been classified as technicians were demonstrating knowledge that surpassed their supposed superiors. "Hey, God," whispered Li Haiyanwu as he watched the reports flooding in. "We actually did it. We built a secret military network right under their noses." Yang So-young was monitoring alien military communications. The Zephyrians are starting to panic. They're detecting unusual mental activity in human populations. But they can't read our thoughts clearly when we're focused on technical tasks. Kim Day smiled grimly. 200 years of being underestimated has given us the perfect cover. They never suspected that we were capable of this level of coordination. The sleeping giant was no longer just stirring. It was wide awake and ready to fight. The first alien ship to disappear was the Krillian patrol vessel, Bloodclaw. It had been conducting what Admiral Zethclair called a routine inspection of the human farming colony on Proxima Centauri 3. The ship arrived at the planet on schedule, sent a single status report, and then vanished completely from all sensors. No distress signal, no wreckage, no survivors. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Kim Day watched the report on his command screen, trying not to smile. The mining compound on Kepler 44 to be looked the same from the outside, but everything had changed inside. Hidden walls had been removed to reveal a sophisticated control center that had been built slowly over 15 years. Computer screens showed the locations of alien fleets, the status of human colonies, and the progress of operations that officially did not exist. "Network status report," he said to Choi Minho, who was sitting at a communication station that looked far more advanced than anything humans were supposed to possess. "We have confirmed contact with 847 human settlements across 312 worlds." Choi Minho replied. "All commanders report ready status." Park Soo-jin looked up from her tactical display. The Zephyrians are getting nervous. Their mind readers are detecting what they call unusual mental patterns in human populations. But they can't understand what we're thinking about. That was one of humanity's greatest advantages in this secret war. The Zephyrians could read surface thoughts and emotions, but they had trouble understanding complex technical thinking. For 2 centuries, humans had been dismissed as mentally chaotic because their minds worked differently than alien minds. This had provided perfect cover for the most sophisticated resistance network in galactic history. Li Haiyanwu emerged from the engineering section, his hands stained blue with power cell residue. "The surprise package is ready," he announced. "It turns out that all that obsolete human mining equipment we've been using has been quietly upgraded with technology that surpasses anything the aliens currently have." Yang So-young was monitoring medical reports from across the galaxy. Our people inside alien medical facilities are also reporting for duty. Apparently, primitive human doctors have been studying alien biology for generations. We know their weaknesses better than they know ours. Kim Day felt a sense of pride as he realized the scope of what humanity had accomplished. While the aliens had seen humans as simple laborers, humanity had been conducting the most patient intelligence operation in galactic history. Human janitors had mapped every alien facility they had ever cleaned. Human technicians had learned the weak points of every system they had ever repaired. Human doctors had studied every alien patient they had ever treated. The galaxy's three ruling races had made a fatal mistake. They had assumed that human obedience meant human happiness. They had confused patience with weakness and service with surrender. Coming transmission from Sector 12, Choi Minho announced. The hegemony research station at Kepler 186f has gone completely dark. Official cause: massive system failure. Actual cause: the human maintenance crew just took control of the entire facility. What about the alien scientists? Kim Dae asked. Locked in their quarters, unharmed, but very confused, Choi Minho replied. With a grin, the humans who have been cleaning their laboratories for 20 years apparently know more about their research than they do. Reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. A Zephyrian meditation center on Vega Prime had lost all power when the human maintenance staff simply walked away from their posts. A Krillian supply depot near Alpha Centauri had been completely emptied by human transport crews who had been loading and unloading cargo there for decades. A hegemony factory ship had been quietly redirected to human-controlled space by navigation officers who had been plotting courses for alien captains for years. The pattern was the same. Everywhere, humans who had been ignored and underestimated were revealing capabilities that made their alien supervisors look like amateurs. Workers who had been classified as technical support were demonstrating knowledge that surpassed the scientists they supposedly served. Status report from the Outer Rim territories, Park Soo-jin announced. Human settlements in sectors 15 through 20 are reporting complete communication blackouts from alien facilities. Is either the aliens are having the worst technical problems in galactic history, or our people are taking control of everything? Kim Dae knew which explanation was correct. Send a message to all commanders. Begin Phase 2 of the operation. What's Phase 2? Yang So-young asked. We stopped being subtle, Kim Dae replied. Within hours, the subtle sabotage became open resistance. Human workers who had maintained alien infrastructure for generations suddenly demonstrated intimate knowledge of every weakness in their systems. Mining operations that had produced crystals for alien meditation became fortress factories producing advanced weapons. Human settlements that should have been helpless revealed defensive capabilities that surprised even experienced military commanders. The aliens finally began to understand that they had made a catastrophic error. Humans had not been primitive. They had been patient. They had not been weak. They had been careful. They had not been content. They had been planning. For 2 centuries, humanity had been underestimated while quietly becoming the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The sleeping giant was fully awake now. It was time to show the universe what humans could accomplish when they stopped pretending to be harmless. Admiral Zethclair stood on the bridge of his flagship iron destroyer, staring at the empty space where the human mining colony should have been. His yellow reptilian eyes narrowed in confusion as he studied the sensor readings. The Krillian Battle Fleet 37 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy had arrived at Kepler 44b, expecting to find frightened human miners waiting for transport to resettlement facilities. Instead, they found nothing but empty space and sensor readings that made no sense. Where are the humans? Zethclair demanded, his forearms gesturing angrily at the tactical display. His answer came in the form of energy beams that appeared from seemingly nowhere. The space around the planet suddenly lit up with weapons fire from positions that should not have existed. The human mining compound had not been abandoned. It had been transformed into a military fortress that made Krillian engineers question everything they thought they knew about defensive systems. On the surface of Kepler 44b, Kim Dae stood in his command center watching the battle unfold on dozens of screens. The room buzzed with activity as his crew coordinated the defense with the precision of trained military officers, which it turned out most of them had been before the aliens reclassified them as mining workers. Their shields are holding for. Now, Park Soo-jin reported from her weapons control station. But Lee Hyen-woo's modifications to our defense systems are working perfectly. We're cutting through their armor like it's made of paper. The secret was finally revealed. The primitive mining equipment that humans had been using for decades had been carefully modified and improved. What the aliens had dismissed as human chaos and unpredictability, it actually produced weapon systems that could adapt in real time to enemy tactics. Li Haiyanwu monitored the engineering displays with satisfaction. 2 centuries of maintaining their equipment taught us exactly how it works. Now we're showing them how it works when humans improve it. Yang Soyoung was coordinating with human settlements across the galaxy through the secret communication network. Reports coming in from everywhere, she announced excitedly. Sector 7, the entire hegemony research fleet has been captured by their own human crew members. Sector 10, Zephyrian meditation centers are going dark across 12 worlds. Sector 15, the Krillian supply depot at Vega has been completely destroyed. Choi Minho looked up from his communication station in amazement. Admiral Zethclair is requesting emergency reinforcements from the Krillian home fleet. He's calling this a full-scale military uprising by an unknown advanced civilization. They still don't understand that it's just us. That was the most shocking discovery of all. The galactic powers had so completely dismissed human capabilities that they could not believe their servants had become their greatest threat. Alien military commanders kept looking for some hidden enemy, some secret alien ally that was helping humanity. They never imagined that the humans they had ignored for 2 centuries had been preparing for this exact moment. The battle in space continued for hours. Krillian warships that had conquered entire star systems found themselves outmaneuvered by defensive systems that seemed to predict their every move. Human weapons that should not have existed cut through alien shields that had protected fleets. For thousands of years. How is this possible? Zethclair screamed at his tactical officers. These are supposed to be primitive miners. Where did they get military technology that surpasses our own? He would never get an answer to his question because the humans he was fighting against had learned their lessons from the best teachers possible, the aliens themselves. Every alien military manual that humans had been ordered to file away had been memorized. Every weapon system that humans had been ordered to maintain had been studied and improved. Every tactical doctrine that humans had been ordered to clean up after had been analyzed and perfected. Kim Day watched as another Krillian cruiser exploded on his tactical display, signal all human commanders across the galaxy. Execute the final phase of the operation. Within minutes, coordinated strikes began against alien strongholds throughout known space. Human workers who had maintained alien facilities for generations revealed that they knew those facilities better than their alien masters. Human transport crews who had delivered supplies to alien military bases used their knowledge to guide precision attacks on critical systems. The Zephyrians, despite their mind-reading abilities, found themselves unable to predict human tactics because human minds worked in ways they had never bothered to understand. The hegemony, despite their advanced technology, discovered that their systems had been quietly modified by human maintenance crews over decades. The Krillian Empire, despite their military might, learned that their weapons were useless against enemies who knew exactly how they worked. After 12 hours of battle, Admiral Zethclair's fleet was reduced to 7 damaged ships limping away. From Kepler 44 to B, his final transmission was filled with rage and bewilderment. What kind of military force could have prepared such perfect defenses? Who taught these humans to fight with such skill? Kim Day smiled as he heard the question. That would never be officially asked. He knew the answer that would never be officially given. We taught ourselves. We learned from every mistake you made us clean up. We studied every weapon you made us maintain. We memorized every strategy you made us file away. And we spent 2 centuries preparing for the day you would give us a reason to stop acting weak. The storm had been unleashed, and the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. 6 months after the first Krillian patrol ship vanished, Kim Day stood in the great assembly hall of the rebuilt Galactic Confederation headquarters, the massive chamber that had once hosted meetings between 3 alien species. Now had a 4th member. Humanity had finally taken its place as an equal partner in galactic government. The change had happened faster than anyone expected. Once, the galaxy's ruling powers realized they were not fighting a rebellion, but facing a revelation. That humanity had always been capable of being a major power, everything shifted. The Zephyrians' hegemony, Krillian Empire, found themselves sitting at negotiation tables with a species they had dismissed as servants for 2 centuries. Park Sujin, now wearing the uniform of Earth's military representative, stood before the assembly with a data pad containing the final battle reports. Total alien military losses: 847 vessels destroyed or captured, 23 major installations taken, and approximately 340,000 personnel killed or captured. Human casualties: 12,000. Across all operations, the numbers told the story of a war that had been planned for generations. Every human settlement had been prepared. Every worker had been trained. Every accident over the past decades had been practiced for the real fight. Lee Hyun-woo, now serving as director of Galactic Technology Exchange, presented the terms of the peace agreement. All human scientific discoveries that were previously credited to alien researchers will be properly acknowledged. Compensation for 2 centuries of stolen intellectual property has been agreed upon. All species will now have equal access to research and development opportunities. Yang So-young, appointed as the first human administrator of the Galactic Health Organization. Perhaps the most surprising news: the medical exchange program has produced amazing results. It turns out that human adaptability makes us excellent healers for other species. We're establishing medical centers on 50 worlds to provide treatment for all galactic citizens. The Zephyrian representative, a tall, pale being with large, dark eyes, spoke with something that sounded almost like respect. We made an error in judgment. Your species' mental patterns are not chaotic. They are simply more complex than we understood. We request permission to study human consciousness and thought processes. The hegemony delegate, a mechanical creature the size of a small building, acknowledged what its people had learned the hard way. Human problem-solving methods have proven superior to our computer. Calculations in 73% of test scenarios. We propose joint research projects to combine our processing power with your creative abilities. Even Admiral Zethclair, representing the Krillian Empire, had been humbled by his defeat. Your military tactics are unlike anything we have encountered. In 3,000 years of conquest, we have much to learn from a species that can coordinate complex operations across the entire galaxy without centralized command. Kim Dae stepped forward to address the assembly, representing not just Earth, but the millions of humans scattered across hundreds of worlds. We never wanted to conquer anyone, he said in a clear, steady voice. We only wanted to be treated as equals. You denied us that right for 2 centuries, so we took it by force. He looked directly at each alien representative as he continued. You called us primitive because we worked with our hands, called us weak because we served without complaining. You called us stupid because we seemed happy with simple jobs. But you never asked what we were thinking while we watched you, learned from you, and prepared for this day. The great hall fell completely silent as the weight of his words settled. Over the assembly? That was your first mistake, Kim Dae said. Assuming it would be your last was your second mistake. Choi Min-ho, now Earth's chief diplomatic communicator, activated the recording systems. This session is being broadcast to every human settlement in the galaxy. They deserve to know that the age of slavery is over. As the various delegates prepared to leave, Park Soo-jin approached Kim Dae with a message from Earth. The home planet wants to know what we should do with all the obsolete equipment and weapons we've been hiding for the past 2 centuries. Kim Dae smiled. Tell them to keep everything. The galaxy is full of surprises, and we're still learning what we can accomplish when we work together. The transformation of galactic society was already beginning. Human doctors were treating alien patients with methods that had been dismissed as primitive. Human engineers were solving problems that had stumped alien scientists for centuries. Human teachers were sharing knowledge that had been suppressed for generations. But perhaps the most important change was in how the galaxy viewed strength and weakness. The 3 ruling species had learned that true power came not from domination, but from the patience to watch, learn, and prepare. They had discovered that the most dangerous enemy was not the one who fought openly, but the one who served quietly while planning for the future. As Kim Dae left the assembly hall, he reflected on humanity's long journey from slavery to equality. The sleeping giant had awakened not with roars of anger, but with the quiet confidence of a species that had always known its true worth. The galaxy would never make the mistake of underestimating humanity again, and humanity would never again allow itself to be treated as anything less than equal partners in the great community of intelligent species that shared the stars. The age of human servitude was over. The age of human partnership had begun.